Hey everybody, this is Al with El Rey Collection, and today I'm here to talk to you about the 1960s. What a great decade! The last decade before the existence of myself. The top 10 cards and stickers. So I got a whole series on top 10 cards and stickers from the various decades. And without further ado, I will give credit to the official graphic makers on this little graphic that I have here. So I'm patting myself on the back. And so, top 10 1960s cards and stickers. It's always hard to do these because, the players, the cards, it's hard not to think about scarcity and value. So, it's kind of a fun, but also very, very challenging task. So my first number 10, I'd have to say is Gerd Mueller. Now Gerd has a lot of different, rookie cards. He has the TTT. He's got multiple versions of the TTT. But this card is just iconic. It's a card. It's super hard to find unstuck. So normally grades of 4 and up are huge for this card. Same with the Beckenbauer. He obviously was a legend, Der Bomber. I think I have an entire video to some of his cards and stickers. But for me, a lot of it starts here. I love the imagery of this set with kind of the trees in the background. It's like they were in a park and just took a picture, which is great for these young players. So in this particular set, you had Beckenbauer, you had Mueller, you had Meyer, just some amazing players on the Bayern Munich team. So this, again, is super hard to find with no glue on the back. So, pretty nice and hard to have in a 5. So that would be number 10. The next one, number 9 on my list, is a really tough sticker, and this is the 1962 San Giorgio Bobby Moore. So this particular card comes. There are two. There's a 1962, and then there's another 1963 album that looks pretty much the same. There's also some nuances in the Pele cards where there's two different numbers. So one was printed for the 1962 World Cup, and then a subsequent version was printed in 63. Normally we wouldn't care that much. They're all pretty rare. But in this case, that could make the difference between being a Bobby Moore rookie or not. So this, though, look at the beautiful colors. These are really thin stickers. Look at the beautiful colors on this. Just really, really nice colors. That bright red in the England kit. Well, these are blank backs. That's the only thing I think they kind of have against them from my perspective. So the Bobby Moore 1962 San Giorgio, which St. George for English. The number 3, or I guess number 7, since we're counting backwards, is probably, these are so hard because there's so many amazing 1960s cards for Pele, just like the 1950s. Just so many tremendous cards. So, here I'm going to go with this EDI Milano. It's cardboard. It's just a beautiful shot. The yellow, again, kind of the same way that the Bobby Moore had that red popping. This yellow popping off this card is just beautiful to my eyes. And it's not a completely naked back. There are different versions of this. But here you see this EDI Milano right there. Calcio Campioni 96. So, again, these Pele cards, super, super cool. One of the best cards from the 1960s from my eyes. Now, it's really hard not to, in my eye, And so this is kind of like, it's a little bit of a cheat here on number 7 because I was going back and forth. Since I'm only going to put, max 2 Peles on, I really considered putting this one on. Again, I just love the the net in the background, the colors on this in the Santos version. The back I think is really cool if you get these in never stuck condition, so flashes of football. So this Pele, again, honorable mention for slot number 7, but couldn't make the list because I can have max 2 Peles according to my own rules. So I hate when I put rules and then I have to abide by them. The next one is, a pretty well-known card. It's the TTT Beckenbauer, as we talked about a little bit with the Muellers. The TTT Beckenbauer is just, I love, again, these color pops. Something about the 60s and the color pops in the background that just made them absolutely tremendous collectibles. This one's got a little bit of a miscut. You can see down here, pretty consistent with the PSA 6 that recently sold. But the TTT, especially the portrait version, is just, what an epic collectible. Look at that. Such a young Beckenbauer. Never stuck condition. Super, super tough card. And a very special card. It's hard for me to pick between the Bergmans and the Beckenbauers because, the Bergman, Beckenbauer, and the TTT, because I love them both so much for different reasons. The TTT sticker is more fragile, and I love the colors, but the Bergman card, being cardboard and thicker and bigger and harder to find, or hard to find, I think they're both hard to find in excellent condition. So this one, I actually think this is mislabeled and actually belongs in as a 1959 Cardmaster. I can't really remember exactly what led me to that conclusion, but PSA grades these Cardmaster cards as 1960. Be careful for reprints of this card, but this card to me has probably the best image of Pele on any card out there. Let me see if I can even get a nicer angle here. You can see the little drops of sweat coming down his chest, on his forehead up here, and there are some reprints that don't have that level of detail. There's also foxing on the paper and some crackling because of this creamed aged paper. But this, to me, is just the absolute best image of Pele in any card. Love the uniform being open, and for me, this is absolutely just an epic collectible. So again, the Pele Cardmaster coming in at 10, 9, 8, 7, 6th position. I think he would have registered in the 1950s sets if that had a different date on it. So we will put away the Pele Cardmaster. And, now you start to really think about all of these cards are epic, but they're much more, personal preference, I think, up until now. I think now we start to get in more undisputed territory of just cards that I think the whole hobby will accept. And I think now as we get closer to modern day, there are going to be more of those that are just generally accepted by the hobby. Earlier, from the 1890s up until now, lots of personal preference, not a ton of transactions, not high value transactions. So now you start to see, some of these higher value transactions. So here is an 8 George Best rookie. Obviously, the man, the myth, the legend. All of his exploits on and off the field. I'm getting a lot of feedback on my camera here. But George Best, what's there to say? The 1964 Barrett, I just, I love this card. It's art. Again, this popping backgrounds of the red, um, the red shirt, Manchester United shirt on the green, and just what a beautiful, beautiful card. So a lot of these George Best rookies were graded, years ago when the highest rated copies routinely got it graded. Now, I think if you have any copy, you're getting those graded. So if you had looked at the pop report, 2 years ago, you would have thought this card always came in mega high grade. And the reality is, it doesn't. Just the high grades got graded earlier. So coming in the number 4 slot is going to be the early Eusebios. This is the 1961-62 Campeões da Bola album, and so this is, there's a number of 1961-62 issues that use essentially the same photo. And, personally, I think that Eusebio is one of the most underrated players from the 1960s. And the reality is we haven't seen any of these cards really trade since the boom, which means they're, pretty exceedingly rare. I think right now the Campeones de Bola has 3 or 4 copies, and the Estrellas dos Estadios has like 5 or 6, and then the Astros has none. So these are cards that are really tough to get out of Portugal. Vintage stuff is very difficult, and this particular card is really beautiful. These are super thin, and it's surprising that they ever really survived. You can see the glue marks there. This was in an album. The crinkles. Most of these things are gonna grade in the neighborhood of A to PSA 2. I think would probably be the most reasonable top of many of those cards. So now in the number 3 position, I'm going to put, and it's hard, right? Because I'm only kind of allowing myself to have 2 of any one player. So I'm going to put Franz Beckenbauer's this Grau Gold card, mostly because of the extreme scarcity. So there's cards here from 1965 and 1966, and there's a large version and a small version. So I'll show you what you're looking at now is a large version, and then here's the small version, so you can see just on the cutout. So you've got large and small, and you have this really cool back here, and you can see here the back as well. But these are my favorites and in my number 3 position, mostly because of the, just extreme scarcity and the fact that I love they come out of coffee. Like a couple epic sets from Germany were sold with coffee. You had the Bremer, the Fatring Bremer cards from 1958, which include the famous Pele crying card. And then these 1965 and 66 Grau Gold Franz Beckenbauer. So these are a couple of my prized possessions. The big one and the small one. Again, big and small. And they come in the number 3 position. So either one, I have no reason to suspect that, to definitively say that either version is more rare. But I think in my very limited experience of seeing these in the market, I would say the smaller one is rare. And they have the exact same wording on the back, which I recall, if I translated it right, talks about the promotion of Bayern Munich to the first tier in the Bundesliga. So the number 2 card on the list. Well, can't get this out, so I'll just, I'm getting some glare on these anyway. Is the famous Estrellas dos Estadios. That's the name of the album. And while it uses the same image as the Campeones de Bola, I think really what makes the difference here to me is just this beautiful coloring on it. These beautiful, this really ornate border, this blue border, which if you actually look at it really closely, you can see these really intricate designs. I also like to see the Benfica, the eagle and shield up here as well, and then this yellow color down here makes it pop along with the drawn in soccer ball. So these I have a number of these examples, and they all come with slightly different cuts, sometimes left to right, sometimes top to bottom, almost never perfect. But this card for me, with the green grass, the fans, the border, the yellow, is just epic cardboard for me. So this is number 2 on the list. And again, you can compare the two right here. Also epic. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this. But using essentially the exact same photo, as you can see, the trees in the background, the stands, the grass, the exact same photo. So these are just epic collectibles, and go in my number 2 spot. And now it should be, not a massive surprise to anyone to find out my number one. Actually, let's take it out of this so we can see. Is of course the Johan Cruyff Palarex. I really could have put in the very, very easily. I could have put in the Sicker Verlag 68, especially in some of the 6, 7, 8 positions. But I decided to have a little bit more diversity. I felt like it was a crime to keep Mueller out of the top 10. So I probably would have put certainly the Sicker Verlag before the Vanderhoot. But, this one to me is a no-brainer. I mean, you're talking at least top 5 player. Many would have him top 3. Multiple Ballon d'Or winner, changed the game as a player, as a coach. Came back and helped Barcelona win its first Champions League and really reestablish itself as one of the global players. But his whole total football, his dominance with the ball, the Cruyff turn, for me, one of my favorite vintage players to collect. And this is my favorite card, the 1968 Campeons from the European Championships. And these Palarex cards certainly came off huge for a large part of the last year. Have kind of come back to earth, as a lot of these have been trading again, but really hard to get in never stuck condition like this one is. Unfortunately, this one has this Newton rings going on right in the middle, so it looks removed, but there's absolutely no paper loss on this, and just one of my absolute favorites. So I think that when you think of great vintage cards, this has to be on people's lists of cards that they're trying to get if they're going after the greats of the game. If you have a different collecting methodology, well then it would make sense that you didn't necessarily have this or other cards on the want list. But for me, so many amazing cards from the 1960s. I could probably have a top 100 list, and still I would battle with myself on which cards to show. I mean, now we're getting into so many producers, so many beautiful World Cup issues, the 62 issues with the flags, like the Lampos, some of the Mira issues out of out of Italy, specifically from 1968. A lot of these German issues were just beautiful as well, like Icon. I love some of those sets, and then you have really Panini starting, so you get beautiful Panini cards with really nice Valida backs, which are just amazing. So for me, the 1960s is an epic time to collect. You've got probably 100 Pele cards out there. You've got all sorts of great players, from Best to Cruyff to all the Germans starting their career. Meyer, Beckenbauer, Mueller. You have the tale of Luis Suarez. You've even got Puskas, Di Stefano, Garrincha. When Brazil wins in '62. You've just got so many amazing players, and lots of players that not a lot of people talk about, whether it's Elias, Figueroa, Teofilo Cubillas, his rookie card in 1969 as well. So just so many amazing cards. Just go out there, explore this decade, because it's absolutely, phenomenal. And, if it's within your budget and you're trying to collect the GOATs, really think about any of these cards. But, as I sit here and look at the Cruyff, it was not tough for me to pick the number one card of the 1960s. So, I hope you guys have enjoyed that. If you have, please smash that like button for me and leave a comment. Let me know what you think I missed, what you think that I'm right on, which cards you have, which ones you don't. I'd really like you to subscribe, hit that like button, and hope you enjoy this series of the top 10 cards and stickers by decade. This is the 1960s, and we're tuning out.